Yeah, we're coming now.
Get the tables. Get the tables. Get the tables. Get the tables.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new edition of MarkOutMania, episode number 5, or numero 5. On today's show, we're going to get very real. So real that I'm declaring war. That's right, you heard it. Declaring war. On who? You'll find out later in the show. I want to, like I said, introduce you guys again to episode number 5 of MarkOutMania. I do have a special guest with me today. Got the Phenomenal C Nation joining us over here on MarkOutMania. Appreciate you coming in here today, Mr. C Nation.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be on MarkOutMania.
Definitely check out his channel, Phenomenal C Nation. Check out his podcasts that we've got going up. And also check out the live stream that we did on Google Hangouts as well as YouTube with the Concord Outlaws a couple of days ago. Definitely interesting some stuff and interesting roundtable discussions that we had regarding Carmella and Money in the Bank, which we will get to on this show, and a couple other things that we discussed on that show as well. Don't want to spoil the whole thing for you. Just check it out. It'll be worth your while. So on today's show, I will give my review on Money in the Bank and then kind of hit on some of the elephants in the room with Carmella and the heat about that. And then with Big Cass turning on Enzo, we'll get to that as well. Get my thoughts. And then, like I said, I declare war on a specific group. And I'm sure that not many of you will be caring or it's maybe too redundant that it's happened. But guess what? I'm now on the ship for it. And so, yep, that's basically what's going to be happening on this show today. I don't think we'll reach that hour mark. Some of you are going to be praising God that it will. But hey, listen, I only do what I do, and I only do it because I love it. So before we get on to today's show, I want to start off with a new segment that I'm going to be kind of doing here for until who knows when, as long as you guys participate in it, like it. Enjoy it and give me some suggestions, some feedback on it, and we'll go with it. We're going to review this day in wrestling history, what I felt like is a very big landscape, big match, big moment, big event, whatever the case may be on this day of my recording. Today we're recording this on June the 23rd, Friday, June 23rd. And so this day in pro wrestling history, Austin 316 is born. Mm-hmm. Austin 316, the notorious promo in which Stone Cold Steve Austin laid out after winning King of the Ring back in 1996, I believe, when he defeated Jake the Snake Roberts, in which Stone Cold Steve Austin talked to Doc Hendricks, a.k.a. Michael P.S. Hayes, and he gave the infamous you sit there and thump your Bible and you read your Psalms, talk about John 3:16, Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. Thus starting the Stone Cold Steve Austin era, kind of ushering in a new era for WWE as they started turning the tide slowly, but it definitely took its toll in the end during the Monday Night Wars. Great moment of wrestling history. They definitely gave Stone Cold a much needed population for not only him, or popularity, not only for him, but WWE at the time, as they were definitely still battling back and forth during the first year of the Monday Night Wars, but they were not in a very good position from late 96 to basically April of 1998. So, but the reincarnation of Steve Austin as a character and the debut of a brand new badass whoop-ass character with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Definitely a great moment there. It sparked a popularity like no other. And I really don't think this popularity has been matched except for maybe The Rock and during that time frame. Since then, I mean, you've had glimpses of some really big popularity. Cena had it. CM Punk had it. Daniel Bryan had it. But I don't think we've reached that level of popularity like we did with Stone Cold. So So definitely a great moment there in wrestling history. And like I said, every time I do have a new recording and a new podcast coming up, whatever day I'm recording the podcast on, we'll use that day as this day in wrestling history. Definitely a cool segment that I am looking forward to presenting to you guys each and every week. C Nation, I'll get your quick opinion on that of the whole Austin 316 and how you think possibly it changed the face of wrestling.
I mean, I grew up watching Stone Cold, so I couldn't imagine a better character. I mean, he played that role perfectly. I think maybe the only other kind of bad guy character that was portrayed as well, or maybe a little bit worse than Austin, would probably be Razor Ramon, but Austin really took his character to another level, and I mean, he brought so many fans to watch wrestling every week, and I mean, you can just say the name Stone Cold and people know the reference, even if they're not like a passionate fan of WWE or pro wrestling. They know Stone Cold. That's how big of a reach his audience was, is that even the part-time or the non-fan knew who he was. So I mean, this promo, I actually just watched it a few minutes ago. I saw it on Facebook. Great promo. I mean, it sparked probably one of the biggest characters in WWE history. So
Absolutely, definitely, like I said, a landmark moment in wrestling history, as it definitely started changing the tide attitude-wise for WWE. So transitioning now, we're going to talk about Money in the Bank, the review of Money in the Bank, kind of get all the mumbo-jumbo on it, all the clicks and clacks of it, so to speak. I'm not going to run down the whole list, starting from match number 1 to match number 5, 6. I'm going to skip around here because I do know that the very first match is the one that's the most controversial out of all 6. So we'll kind of skip around here and kind of rearrange the match card and results, if you will. First match we'll talk about here real quick. Is the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championship match between New Day and the Usos. With New Day technically getting the W, but via countout, and the Usos did retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles. It wasn't a bad match. It really wasn't. I hated the ending just because of the fact that, if you wanted the Usos to be a legit champion, they should have been able to pin the New Day. And I feel like if New Day were going to win the titles, that would have been a good time to do it. But I'm sure this feud would carry out into Battleground here in July, and then possibly SummerSlam, we'll see. But I did think these two had a really good match. I think they can have really good chemistry with the heel Usos and the face of the New Day. The mic work is fantastic between the two nowadays. So the build-up of the matches is great, but I just didn't like the outcome of it. I feel like the legitimacy may have not been there, but it does definitely carry out the feud into the latter portion of the summer here. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now between New Day and the Usos. We'll see what carries on through, like I said, Battleground. Next month is a SmackDown Live pay-per-view for July, and then possibly SummerSlam if they have a trifecta of the feud. What's your thoughts on that for the whole match there, Mr. C Nation?
As a total match, I mean, it wasn't like a 5-star tag team match. There wasn't a lot of good spots. Pretty mediocre, and then the finish ruined any momentum that they had. But and I do know that New Day and the Usos can put on better quality matches, as we've heard JBL say like 800,000 times already. Yeah. These are two of the greatest tag teams in the modern era. And I mean, if they are, then they're gonna have to prove it, and I think they can. New Day, still very entertaining, and the Usos are really good as a heel tag team. I think though that the feud will continue into Battleground, but I think SummerSlam would be where the Hype Bros get their title opportunity against the Usos. But I'm not sure. But it just seems that's where the direction is taken, in my opinion. But WWE is prone to swerve us on some things, so.
That's true. No kidding about that. Next match that I have on the list here that I want to talk about is the women's SmackDown Live women's title match between Naomi and Lana. The debut of Lana on the main roster, having her first singles match, and it was for the SmackDown Women's Championship at Money in the Bank. The match itself wasn't the best in the world, but I don't think it was the worst thing in the world. I do know that Lana is still very green. She still has a lot to learn and a lot of stuff to perfect in ring. Can't deny her character, can't deny her heel work, her mic work, can't deny the hard work and dedication she's trying to put into it. I think it will work off for her. I think it'll pay off very well. I'm already a big fan and a big supporter of her making the transition from manager to wrestler, putting the hard work into it, being dedicated to it. I think she can do it. I think she can be a main attraction in the women's division, whether it be Raw or SmackDown. But this night, Money in the Bank was not her night. Naomi did come away with the win after the winner of the women's Money in the Bank interfered. I'm sure you all know who it is, but for purposes of, like I said, not going in match order, we'll get to that here in a minute. Winner of that match kind of teased cashing in the Money in the Bank, but didn't do so. That kind of caused Lana to be distracted a little bit. Naomi did recover and ended up making Lana tap out. Thus keeping the SmackDown Women's title match. Like I said, it wasn't the best match on the card. Wasn't the best women's match in the world. I don't think it was the worst, but it definitely proves to how far up Naomi is as compared to Lana, and to see where Lana ranks as a wrestler among the top tier women in the division. Just think a lot of practice at live shows, house shows, maybe a match or two here on the main roster would serve her well. However, I do know that this upcoming Tuesday on SmackDown Live, Lana does get her rematch, so already being thrusted right back into the title picture. We'll see if there's any improvement. Maybe it was just nerves. The fact that it was her first singles match, it was a title match, and it was on a pay-per-view. I can only imagine the nerves going through her body. Now that she kind of has that under her belt, maybe she performs a little bit better, a little bit higher expectation. We'll see. What are your thoughts on this match overall as a match between Lana and Naomi?
I think she kind of performed as expected, at least in my opinion. If you came into last Sunday expecting like a 5-star match out of from Lana and Naomi, I'm sure you would have been disappointed. But in my opinion, I knew Lana was very green, and Naomi and Lana really haven't worked a lot together, so I mean, you knew there were going to be some moments where chemistry might be off. So overall, it was basically how I expected it to go. Just as a side comment, though, I think the way that yes, Lana really hasn't worked enough to really deserve a title match, but I think this is where SmackDown excels over Raw, is that they keep all of their women wrestlers relevant. We saw all 5 women fight for the Money in the Bank, and then Lana gets thrown in to a title picture, so all of the women are used in their pay-per-views, whereas on Raw we see maybe 3 or 4 being used in succession, really not everyone's getting their moment to shine. But overall, I mean, pretty decent match. Not the greatest, not the worst. And I'm sure Lana will do better as time goes along.
Absolutely, I think that too. I think that Lana just, it was a pro big match that she got her first main roster match on, and you can't blame her for being nervous or anything like that. But it is what it is, and like I said, we'll see Tuesday whether or not match quality between her and Naomi is better, especially for the women's title match on the end. This Tuesday on SmackDown is just a stacked card top to bottom. Really looking forward to Tuesday, so we'll see exactly what goes on transpiring down there. We'll not preview the whole show for SmackDown on Tuesday. I'll just kind of give a review of it next week. But I'm looking forward to SmackDown Live and seeing how Lana does perform in her rematch against Naomi for the women's title. Next thing up I have on this list for Money in the Bank that transpired is the debut of Mike and Maria Kanellis. Yes, I know it's not Mike and Maria Bennett, as what he's been called in the indie scene. We all know WWE usually does not like to keep indie names unless they're a main household name and they can't change it. But for maybe copyright issues, I don't really know. I don't really know the full backstory on it. But Mike and Maria are Mike debuting in the WWE, Maria returning back to the WWE as such a polished talent. I remember her, back in 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, being that manager / backstage interviewer / silly, ditzy woman on the show for sex appeal. And then she turned wrestler. Wasn't horrible, but when you've been such a fan for so long and you see this woman as a backstage interviewer and being that ditzy and over the top, just kind of crazy character and turn into a wrestler. It took a while for me to grow into it, but whatever she did in New Japan and over in ROH, and then those guys go into TNA, just a remarkable transition, and I couldn't be more happy than have both of them back, or both of them in WWE. Great moment at Money in the Bank, and I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly what will go down with Mike and Maria on SmackDown Live. Is now the it couple of SmackDown Live since Miz and Maurice are now on Raw. Not sure what the competition will be laying up for there, having an entourage of shorts and whatnot. But I just hope WWE creative does not mess this up. Mike and Maria are a two dime a dozen, and the fact that they're now in the WWE speaks volume to how well WWE recruits people, and it's the land of giants in a way, as far as this is the biggest company in the world, so I can't imagine both of them not wanting to be in WWE, especially for Maria again. But we'll see what happens between the two. It was a really cool moment for Money in the Bank. Any thoughts on Mike and Maria?
It was an awesome moment. The pop they got was pretty good. I wasn't really an avid fan of, viewer of wrestling when Maria made her first appearance in WWE, so I don't know. I wasn't really well aware of her gimmick when she was here the first time. But
don't worry, you didn't miss a whole lot.
But I'm actually kind of excited for the gimmick that they at least kind of presented at Money in the Bank. It seems as if they're going in the direction of what Miz and Maurice were on SmackDown, and if they can excel to what Miz and Maurice did with something like that, of like the power couple gimmick, I'm down with it. I'm really excited to see what Mike Kanellis now can do in the ring, as well as what Maria will do as kind of like the valet manager, or maybe if she might get in the ring eventually.
Definitely. I mean, she has performed as a talent as a wrestler, so that could be interesting, having them as a mixed tag match potentially. Definitely something to look forward to down the road here on SmackDown Live, as Mike and Maria are now in the WWE. Next thing to talk about really isn't much of a match. It's Breezango versus the Ascension. Backstage segment of the Passion Files happened earlier the night of Money in the Bank, and a tape appeared. They put a tape inside the VCR with the TV, and two gentlemen with kind of voice effects started talking about meet us in the ring, if you want to find out who did something or whatever. I had a thought it was the Ascension. It just seemed apropos for the vignette that happened, and sure enough, it was the Ascension. Just kind of a throw in a match there, which it wasn't horrible. It was good to see the Ascension kind of being on the pay-per-view again, and it was good to see Breezango getting something on the pay-per-view, especially with the momentum they're having and the pop that they're having, and the how over they're becoming on the main roster. The Fashion Files, I think, are one of the best things about WWE in general. And it's finally a good thing that Tyler Breeze is starting to find a little bit of his groove on the main roster, and Fandango is becoming more noticeable again. So it's really cool to see those two tag teaming and starting to get the popularity push and the push that they deserve. Not really much of a match here. Tyler Breeze wasn't able to do his changing costume things with the janitor and all that stuff. But it was still a nice little match to kind of throw in there. Get a nice little pay-per-view time for both of them. Breezango does win cleanly, so it's great to see them, like I said, winning, getting a push. They deserve it. Kind of stuck in the middle now because the Hype Bros are getting... they're kind of picking up where they left off. They're going to be facing the Usos Tuesday on SmackDown. So it'll be interesting to see how the Hype Bros, Usos, New Day, Breezango kind of go about this. Anything you want to add to the Breezango and Ascension match?
No, you basically said everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those little throw-in matches there. Like I said, we'll see what goes on between all four teams I just mentioned. Even the Ascension, we'll see what happens with them. Maybe they will kind of climb back into the main event picture, the title picture, or even a main feud picture on SmackDown Live. Next match that I've got down on the list here, I do have Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. I don't think anybody expected Randy Orton to win the title in his hometown, right? I mean, come on. That doesn't happen very, very rarely, like in 20% chance, 10% chance. Jinder Mahal pinned Randy Orton, and the Singh brothers definitely created their chaos in there. The legends that were at ringside. Had some legends you didn't really see very often. Then you got the legend you see just about every other week, Ric Flair.
Woo.
Yeah, literally, woo. So, it wasn't a bad match. But I expected Jinder to win this match. I didn't see much of signs pointing to Orton becoming the WWE champion again. Wasn't a horrible match. It seems like so far this feud between Jinder and Randy Orton has been pretty decent for the title. I still am not in favor of Jinder becoming champion in the first place, but that's a different story for a different day. However, and that kind of will tie into my nice little rant I'll have here in a few minutes. But Orton does lose in his hometown. Jinder becomes champion. We'll see what happens Tuesday on SmackDown as they kind of reignite the feud again. I do know Orton said, I think this past Tuesday on SmackDown Live, that he would go over in India and RKO his whole family or something regarding that. Quite a hysterical comment there. What'd you think of the match overall?
It was kind of something I kind of expected. I think when we were watching it, I think I said something about Jinder's going to put his hands on Orton's father or whatever. And while I wasn't 100% correct, I mean, it kind of was. The Singh brothers kind of interfered with Bob Orton, causing Randy to be distracted. Kind of predictable. I think the last person to win a title in their hometown was Naomi at WrestleMania. But decent match. It wasn't, I don't know if it would probably be a little bit better than the first time they fought when Jinder initially won. But Jinder Mahal is not known for putting great matches together in the first place, so pretty decent match. Not the best, not the great. in my opinion, not really title worthy, a title quality match. I would expect something better, but you gotta play with the cards you have, I guess.
No kidding, no kidding. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm not a big fan of Jinder becoming or being the WWE champion, but I mean, it is what it is. We got to deal with it now, and we'll see what the feud carries out into July and potentially August if he's still WWE champion and carrying that WWE title into SummerSlam, which would be kind of big. But we'll see how that feud plays out here in the next coming weeks and months. Next match I do have on the list is the men's Money in the Bank briefcase match, in which it was Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, and Shinsuke Nakamura, all competing for a chance at the Money in the Bank briefcase. I loved how the match started out with Shinsuke coming down, doing his famous entrance, and Baron Corbin attacks him. I was kind of nervous at the fact that it would make Shinsuke out of the match and they would debut somebody else or return somebody else, which would be okay. It's just I hated that it'd be Shinsuke that got that. This match was fantastic, like I thought. A lot of selling, but just a lot of great spots and great storytelling involved in the match. At any point in time, you thought maybe Kevin Owens would win the match, and you thought AJ Styles would win the match. And then when Shinsuke came back and started wrecking house, you thought he was going to win the match. Sami Zayn, the underdog from the underground, kind of doing that underrated thing and becoming the Money in the Bank holder. Great overall match, perfect way to end the show. Was a fantastic Money in the Bank match, very underrated match, I think, as far as the Money in the Bank ladder matches will go down in history. Baron Corbin, the lone wolf, walked out of Money in the Bank and now is the men's Money in the Bank briefcase winner. I think he deserves his push for sure. I think he's worked so hard from starting on NXT, being on the show Breaking Ground and on the WWE Network, getting called up in the draft, or not in the draft. He actually he debuted in the Money at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at 32. Won that. Didn't really get much of that after that, and that was a Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I hope that he does cash in and does become successful. I think this is a great opportunity for Baron Corbin to test out and see how well he can do as a heel, as a top heel in the company, and as a champion in the company. He's never held a singles title on either NXT or the main roster. I think this is a great way to feel out whether or not Baron Corbin can hold his own and be a legitimate title threat and title contender and a main event star. And then this is a perfect way to do so. Holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, to me, the best Money in the Bank briefcase holder is a tie between Edge back in 05-06 and Seth Rollins 2014-2015. With both of them, they teased it a lot, they talked about it a lot, and they just implemented themselves in that picture so very well, and they played the part very well. So eventually cashing it in at great moments, and except for Edge, he only held the WWE title at that time for like 3 weeks. At the Royal Rumble 06, they gave it back to Cena. But with Seth Rollins, held the title for 6-7 months, had great feuds, great matches up until his unfortunate knee injury. So I think it'll be interesting to see whether or not Baron Corbin can hold his own and be a legitimate title contender and title holder. If they don't trust him enough and don't see him enough as a main event caliber talent that can hold a title, they can test that with the Money in the Bank. Teasing it here and there, being great on the mic. Always showcasing and trying to be in that opportunistic position. If they don't feel like it's going to draw much, then you're just going to have him lose and just tell him, listen, it's just not your time yet. But I think he can hold his own. I think he can really draw some heat with the crowd. That's what a heel's supposed to do. And like I said, it's just a few minutes away from that epic rant that I'm going to be on about that. But it's a great way for creative to kind of decide whether or not they want him to be WWE champion and a main event star for years to come. So great opportunity for Baron Corbin here. I'm really excited to see what will transpire out of this as we go into the future, potentially on SmackDown Live, on SummerSlam, Battleground, who knows? We don't know, but look forward to see whenever he does cash it in. Phenomenal C Nation, what is your opinion on the whole story with Baron Corbin, Money in the Bank briefcase winner, and the match overall in general?
He was my pick to win the entire thing, and it's kind of funny. When I first got started watching NXT, Corbin was down there feuding with I think it was Bull Dempsey, who is no longer with WWE, and I didn't like the gimmick that he was that NXT gave him at the beginning, the 5-second matches. You do one move, which was the end of days, and he would win every match, and so I really didn't like the character starting out. But as time went on, and especially now that he's one of the top heels in the main roster, he's grown on me. To where he's one of my favorites now. He's starting to get better on the mic. He can do better, longer matches, and I think, as you said, this is the perfect opportunity for WWE to see if he can carry his own at the top of the card without really throwing a title on him that he doesn't deserve. Have him work his way there, and the Money in the Bank briefcase is a perfect way to work and know that, look, even if you're not in the picture, you have this briefcase, and when you want to use it, you can use it and get your opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like I said, I'm pretty excited to see exactly what will transpire and how creative will set it up, and see whether or not he'll be successful at cashing in, become a first-time WWE champion, or, the unfortunate part of the fact is you never know if it's going to succeed or fail, and there's always that chance. But should be exciting and see what the road of Baron Corbin is as Money in the Bank winner does transpire. So now we get into the one match we haven't talked about yet. And this is the biggest elephant in the room, and it has been probably the most controversial match WWE has seen in quite a while. The first ever women's Money in the Bank briefcase match. Tamina, Natalya, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Carmella. The 5 SmackDown Live women who competed in this match. The first ever Money in the Bank match for women. Overall, as a match, it wasn't the worst at all, and it wasn't the best at all. But it's the first one, and it's always going to be memorable for being the first one. I think that all these ladies were ready for this. I'm sure they were nervous, had some nerves going into this match. It's a dangerous match, not only is it the first ever, and you're trying to showcase and seeing how well you guys are showcasing the women's wrestling scene, but at the same time, it's a very dangerous match, as it's a steel cage match and a Hell in a Cell match. So, I mean, you definitely have to overcome those nerves, and I think all these ladies definitely did that, and they tried to do the best they could. And I think it really was a solid match. I think with Carmella coming out on top was the right idea. Of course, we all know what happened Tuesday at SmackDown. We'll get into that. But overall, the match, the heat that generated from it, it was talked about for days and days and days, and I'm sure it's still going to be talked about for days. Every time SmackDown Live comes up, it'll be a point of conversation. So I think it was a great way to introduce the Money in the Bank match for the women, and I thought it was a great ending to it. D-Nation, I got to hear your opinion on this before I go off on this tangent.
I was not expecting the way it finished, but I was pulling for Carmella to win. But I'm not upset with how it finished. To me, it is a factor of, when I watch wrestling, I'm not looking at it from a psychological, philosophical, political standpoint. I'm looking at it as an entertainment standpoint. That's what I'm there to watch it for, is for entertainment. And that's what they did. They entertained the fans, and I get the argument that Ellsworth shouldn't have interfered, which I'm sure you'll get on in a few minutes. But at the end of the day, the entertainers are there to entertain, and that's what they did. They entertained the crowd, and they got the reaction they were looking for. So at the end of the day, they did their job, and that's all they're asked to do. They're not here to promote a specific agenda. They're just here to entertain. So I don't get why everybody's all up in arms about how it ended. If they did their job, and they did it well, and they did it well because they got the response they were looking for.
Absolutely. And this is now the point of the show where I think we've talked long enough so that way you guys can kind of get the jitters and the feeling out of what's going to happen, what's going to be happening here. Like I said, I'm declaring war on a certain group of people, and this has part to do with it. I think we're at the point in WWE that we don't have to keep talking about women's wrestling versus men wrestling. We don't need to compare it anymore. It's been here for a year and a half, almost 2 years. We've already had the first women's Iron Man match in WWE. We had Sasha Banks and Bayley doing that. We had a main eventing an NXT special that's on the WWE Network. We've had the first time in a long time the women's main event at a Raw. We were at one of them in Charlotte back in November of 2016. We've had the women main eventing a WWE pay-per-view for the first time, Hell in a Cell last year between Charlotte and Sasha in Hell in a Cell for the Raw Women's title. We've had the ladies main eventing SmackDown Live. We've had the ladies inside of a steel cage on SmackDown Live. We've had a kendo stick on a pole match at Extreme Rules. Extreme Rules. We've had the tables match at TLC. Now we've had the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. There's been so many firsts in these past 2 years that, just like what Stephanie McMahon said, I don't remember, maybe it was 32 that she said it, whatever. They're no longer divas. They're superstars. They're compared to just like men. So why can't we take the bullshit out of it, basically, and stop comparing this to women versus men? People are so sexist nowadays, and I understand that, yes, women have not been given a fair chance in the past 10, 15 years in WWE. But we've gotten over that hump of the first time thing and give them a chance and stuff like that. Sure, creative is never going to be perfect with these women. They're never going to be perfect with these men, so I don't see a big issue with either one. Like I said, we can't compare apples to oranges and having the women versus the men because they're both superstars. I think now we're at the point to where it's business, it's storylines, it's for entertainment purposes. The point of Carmella's character was to get you pissed off and draw heat. What did they do with him, with Ellsworth and Carmella? Generate as much heat as possible. I have not heard the IWC get so controversial over a topic in recent memory than they have about this issue. I think it's downright ridiculous that we're so pissed off over that. That finish, to me, was perfect. It was a simple business move, it was smart, and it made sense. If you're telling me that this is no different than what happened in TLC 2 at WrestleMania 17, when Rhino wasn't even involved in the match between the Dudleys, Hardys, and Edge and Christian, and when Rhino placed Christian on his shoulders and started climbing the ladder and made Christian get the briefcase down, if this isn't any different, I don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, it's not Rhino getting the briefcase and throwing it down at Christian, but I mean, it's the same principle that a guy that wasn't supposed to be in the match interfered and helped the other person and helped the person win. Right. I mean, I don't know if it would have been any better if James Ellsworth put Carmella on his shoulders and he climbed the ladder and she retrieved the briefcase. I feel like it would be just as much heat. That's the only other safe finish you could have done. But I mean, it just pisses me off that we're there's still there's no silver lining in anything. It's just, oh, this is BS. That's not the way that match should have been. This is the first chance for women. Now they just kicked them to the curb. I get that. I get everybody's argument and point of views, but it's just ridiculous that we're still on that tangent of what women's wrestling is being compared to as men when they're supposed to both be viewed in the same limelight. And so this goes out to you, the IWC. I don't care if you attack me on Facebook, Twitter, you little vaginas hiding behind the keyboard. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings none. Matter of fact, I would love to bring a couple of you people on the show and give me what exactly you think about me. I'm declaring war on y'all asses for being downright critical, sensitive, overbearing, never appreciating fans, if that's really what you are. You know, the IWC complains about every single thing in the world. I mean, I don't agree with things. I don't agree with Jinder Mahal being WWE champion. But it's heat. It's heat for him. So it works. I don't agree with a couple other things. You know, I mean, but guess what? I'm still a fan. I still love this product, and I care for this product. And I'm going to tune in each and every week because I love this product so much. I think that there's going to be no perfect recipe for every fan. There's always going to be every fan. Every fan is going to have something they don't like, and that's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. Everybody's supposed to have something they don't like because that's just what it is. Creative can't please everybody, and sometimes, you know, you just got to check, see what does work, see what does work, what doesn't work. But when they give you something new, Jinder Mahal becoming WWE champion, when they give you the women's revolution doing that, when they give you something to generate heat, every time you guys want something new, you just shit on it. It's like, come on. They're trying something new, and sure, you may not have liked and appreciated, but trust me, this creative team is not like WCW's creative team back in 99, 2000. They're not just throwing something together at the last minute. Sometimes they are with Raw and SmackDown, but I mean, they're just not throwing stuff together, throwing crap to the wall, hoping it sticks, knowing damn well that it's not. They're trying to make that product better. So for any IWC group members, people out there listening to this, I mean, grow a set, get off the keyboard, do something productive with your lives. I mean, I can't really much because I am in love with wrestling just as much as you guys, but take the time to appreciate it. And if you're still buying tickets to the shows, sure, you may be booing the hell out of the product and becoming an annoyance to the product. Hey, guess what? You're making WWE money by purchasing those tickets, purchasing the merchandise, paying for the WWE network. Anything that you're buying to protest or not doing, or the only way to protest is not doing something. Cancel your WWE network subscription. Don't watch the product. Don't go to shows. Don't buy the merchandise. Anytime you do that, you're just helping them, and you're not making your point any clearer. So that's my little rant for the evening. Anything you want to add in there, Phenomenal C Nation, as I kind of calm down from that little rant?
No, I will second every argument you make. For example, let's just use the Carmella finish to that Money in the Bank. The internet and the people on Twitter, they are so adamant to complain when they shove people that get every opportunity and they get shoved down our throats. They're so adamant to complain about how much they don't like them getting shoved down their throat. For example, Roman Reigns, or when Charlotte and Sasha were having title matches every other week and swapping titles every other Monday Night Raw. People were just up in arms, and they were like, give us something new, give us more women wrestlers than just Charlotte and Sasha. And then when they introduce a new character into the top class of entertainers for that show, they complain and moan and do all this other stuff again. It's just like, I didn't agree with Jinder Mahal getting the title, not because I don't appreciate Jinder Mahal as a wrestler, because obviously he puts in work or he wouldn't be in the WWE, but it's simply because of the way he got there. But I still appreciate the work he does as a performer. He still has to go out there and fight and perform for thousands of people. So my beef is not with Jinder Mahal, but with the storyline surrounding it. But at the end of the day, maybe we need to, as fans, step back from wrestling as being so, I don't want to say important, because wrestling is pretty important in my life, and it's something that I make sure I get to do and have fun with and talk about, but maybe it's not the most important thing in the world. It's an entertainment source, and we shouldn't act as if the characters are I guess I could say real. The people who are portraying the characters, they're putting everything that they can into giving you the best product. And so by complaining,
bitching. Let's just go over bitching.
Yeah. You're not doing anything. They don't read your comments online. You're just wasting time. So as you said, if you want to really protest your disapproval with something in the company, don't buy tickets, don't buy merchandise, don't watch anything on the WWE network, don't comment on anything that goes on in the WWE realm. Just stop being a fan altogether, and when the WWE sees of the mass people leaving, then maybe they'll change. But if you keep buying tickets, if you keep supplying your money to them, they're going to think you're supporting what they're putting out. The only way to fix it is not typing stupid rants on Twitter every night over your displeasure and the company, but rather not being involved at all. And then I think it was Eric Bischoff that once said, "Controversy creates cash,"
Sure.
and that's exactly what they're doing with Carmella as a controversy. Carmella was trending on Twitter for like
3 days, 4 days,
a
2
day
days,
and a
something like that.
half, and she's that's what they want, and that's what they got, and so at the end of the day, they succeeded in their mission. And so I applaud the finish. And in a sense, as a fan of Carmella, I didn't like that they stripped the title, but it adds more heat to the character. And so in a way, I applaud this storyline. And it's something new, it's something refreshing, it's nothing boring like it has been in the past. And so if it entertains the fans, that's all that I really want, is just to be entertained. I don't see a lot of people complaining when something happens that they don't expect on like a TV show. You don't see fans like booing and complaining and moaning and rioting over it. Because it's, at the end of the day, it's just an entertainment source. I don't know. I guess that's all the thoughts I have on it.
Like I said, it has nothing to do with people not showing their opinions every now and then. I'm going to voice my displeasure about something on Twitter or Facebook or on this show. But when you do it constantly, like every single Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-view, sometimes every day, man, it gets so damn irritating and annoying because I can't enjoy the product without having to go on Facebook and stuff like that, or Twitter, and seeing people retweet, share, comment, like something that just downright trashes everything, and it's so infuriating.
And I think there's a difference between sharing your opinion and doing what a lot of wrestling fans do, and that's just the constant trashing of the company. There's a difference between disagreeing with what the company is putting out there and trashing the company as a whole. And I do it. If I think a result of a match was stupid or I didn't enjoy a match, I'll be the first person to put my opinion on. but I'm just going to tweet one thing or post one thing on Facebook. I won't continuously post how trashy that event was. I'm going to tweet it once, and then that's it. I think there's a difference between placing your opinion out there and then trashing the company over a decision that really, if you were in that situation, would you put something better out there?
Absolutely. And I mean, for instance, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Jinder Mahal, and I've already claimed that. I hated the fact that the storyline revolved him being that quickly of a champion. Hated the storyline, don't care for it, don't care for him being champion. I don't go on Twitter every single night, every single day, posting about how much I hate it and whatever. I may like a couple comments, I may like a couple posts, I may discourage it or whatever, but that's it. But I'm willing to give it a chance as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's just what it is. If you can't accept that, don't watch the damn product. That's pretty much all I got to say. So kind of we're going to end the show a little bit on a higher topic instead of on a sour note and receiving all kinds of backlash and whatnot. And don't worry, I'll give my social media out here in a second so you guys can definitely trash me on social media. I'll be ready for it. I'm not scared. I'm not going to hide behind the keyboard. I don't care. 6 and 7 may break my bones. Words won't hurt me much. So kind of transitioning from the whole SmackDown scene and Money in the Bank to one very big bright spot and very big storyline that's now developing on Monday Night Raw that came to fruition this past Monday, and it was Big Cass turning on Enzo. Was much needed. As much as I loved Enzo and Cass as a team, I thought it was needed. I hate the fact they never won a title on NXT or the main roster, but it is what it is. I thought Cass just delivered a hell of a promo. I don't know where that anger and that stuff and that talkative, that promo, I don't know where that was at. I don't know if it's been building for 3 years or whatever, but boy, it showed out and it was awesome. Delivered it perfectly. Just everything about it was fantastic.
Yes.
I truly think that within 2 years you'll see Cass be either Universal Champion or World Champion. I think that, obviously his size,
no doubt.
The skill needs to be there, yes. But I think the mic work is just there from that one promo alone. I think that he can do it all on the mic. He can carry himself well on the mic, especially as a heel. I think now it's just about the in-ring work, getting better at it, having that faith in him, and eventually they will push him, and it'd be great. What's your take on that?
I agree. The split was well needed, despite popular opinion that they should have stayed together. I think it was well deserved for Cass to get a singles run, and the one thing that I am not sure about is where to go with Enzo Amore, because we know Big Cass will get his push. He just has the mold of a Vince McMahon guy. He kind of looks kind of like Test when he was in WWE. He kind of has that build, and he's always been good on the mic. He's getting better in the ring. We know Big Cass will get the push, but for Enzo, it seems like the best for me. If I was in WWE, I would throw Enzo Amore into the cruiserweights, because there's not really anywhere else for him to go, and so if he doesn't go to the cruiserweights,
Enzo could definitely.
I could see
put one of the cruiserweights.
the near future.
I think he can hold his own in the cruiserweights. I think he could definitely
Enzo getting
showcase
cut
what he's got
from
on as the
WWE.
cruiserweights. That remains to be seen. We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens, Tuesday and SmackDown Live. Like I said, they got a stacked card. We'll see what happens Monday Night Raw with the turnout of that. I think it'll be very interesting to see what all is going to be happening, what all will happen. We'll see exactly what will transpire in the coming weeks with all these storylines, rants, promos, all this other good stuff, and see what carries on into the latter part of the summer months as we head into Great Balls of Fire for Raw and Battleground for SmackDown Live. And as we head towards SummerSlam, it's going to be a very bumpy road. But I do want to thank the Phenomenal C Nation for joining me today on this recording as we now transition from Friday 23rd to 24th, Saturday morning as we're recording this. Definitely, like I said, I want to thank him. Definitely follow his podcast, Carolina Revival. That's with a K, Carolina Revival Podcast. You can listen to that on iTunes. Do have their own Twitter page at Carolina Revival. You can follow the Concord Outlaws, Facebook.com/Concord Outlaws Wrestling. You can follow me on Twitter at Phenomenal K-Dog. That's KDAWG. Phenomenal K-Dog. I cannot wait to hear anybody's backlashes and or rants. Do it on the Facebook Concord Outlaws Wrestling page as well. You can follow me on Facebook at Cody Montanaro if you really want to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, the war has been declared, and I will continue to fight this war until I feel like I'm satisfied with it. I know that it'll never go away, and I'm okay with that. I'm ready to take the gloves off and go fist to fist, round and round with these folks. So, once again, I want to thank the Phenomenal Show Off Phenomenal Show Off. That's how you get yourself in trouble right there. Thank the Phenomenal C Nation once again for joining me on today's show. Take a listen to episodes 1 through 4 on YouTube if you haven't already done so. Once again, I'm the Phenomenal K-Dog. I want to appreciate you guys for taking the time out to listen to MarkOutMania episode number 5. We'll catch you next week. SmackDown Live review with a stacked card that happened there. Another this day in wrestling history. Potentially another guest. We'll see. But once again, have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, however you want to go about it. Enjoy, guys. We'll see you next week.